Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Legal and Finance Committee meeting. Today is September 2nd, 2020. Let's start with a roll call and determination of quorum, please.
Solomon? Here. Evans? Here. Armstrong?
Here.
Lehman? Here. Drew is absent. We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to the adoption of the agenda. A motion to adopt the agenda by Mr. Solomon and a second by Mr. Lehman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're moving to general public comment. This is a time for the members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda except by placement on the agenda by unanimous vote of the city council members present. Do we have any Any? Okay. All right. And we will close that. We're going to move to consent items 1 through 9. Public comment is opened again. And now closed. Okay. Now we'll move along to consent items. Are there any items?
Item number 2, Madam Chair.
Great. Pulling item number 2. Anything else? 1 through 9. Okay. I'd welcome a motion to approve items 1 through 9 with the exception of 2.
So moved.
We have a second by Mr. Evans and a first by Mr. Evans and a second by Mr. Lehman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Motion carries. Mr. Lehman, you have number 2, which is authorize the mayor and finance officer to sign the amendment to original terms and conditions of the Connecting with Our Youth grant through Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I direct a question to Mr. Hedrick?
Please do.
Don, can you just elaborate on what this item is?
You bet. So this is just a change to a grant that the council had initially authorized in 2019. And initially it was set up for a coverage of a full-time police officer to partner with Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board. And as we got into the program, we realized that it was probably a better fit to be more of a point of contact, sort of a partnership with the Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board. And what our officers are doing, it's specifically a school liaison officer is working to identify kids that are struggling with at-risk behavior and being that point of contact to get them services through the Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board. And they then, in a sense, have the ability to follow up on these at-risk youth. So we still see a lot of benefit in being this partnership, and we'd like to continue it just in a different manner.
Thank you, Chief. I would like to make a motion to approve. Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Mr. Lehman and a second by Mr. Solomon. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Motion carries. We are now at the end of our consent calendar, and we're going to move to our non-consent items 10 through 14. First one, number 10 from our Finance Department, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 6440 regarding supplemental appropriation 6 for 2020. We have a motion to approve by Mr. Solomon and a second by Mr. Lehman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Now to number 11, approve audit report of City of Rapid City 2019 financial and compliance report. Mr. Solomon, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I make a motion to move this to City Council without recommendation. If I can get a second to retain the floor.
Second.
Okay, thank you, please.
Thank you. I had, just for everybody's sake, I had requested, we received an audit report which gives us findings, very, very standard. I'd requested from the Finance Department if we were going to do a response, and they did print off a response for us here, but it was not attached to this agenda. And I just want to make sure, Tracy, the responses for this, will they be included in Monday's agenda for the whole City Council?
Yes, they will.
Okay.
It was just we didn't get it done until yesterday. So.
Okay. So very well. So that's why I'm moving it to council without recommendation. We have the auditor's findings. I believe they will be here on Monday. And then we have the city's responses to those findings. Very, very standard, but just wanted to make sure that everything was crystal clear.
Perfect. And just to clarify, Monday is Labor Day, so our
excuse me,
council meeting will be on Tuesday the 8th.
Tuesday, the 8th, the city
Holiday
council,
always throws us off. I just wanted to
due
make sure.
to us not laboring on Labor Day.
So the motion is to move to council without recommendation to the Tuesday, September 8th meeting, correct? We had a first and second. Okay, all in favor? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Moving to community development, number 12, acknowledge the 2021 Unified Planning Work Program. Mr. Evans, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just would like to point out to the people that are writing this, they've got a mistake on page 15 where they refer to the city school administration building, and they maybe want to correct that since that no longer exists. So just wanted to point that out. Thank you.
Great. And do we have somebody that would like to speak on this?
Yes, just to give an overview of what this is, Kelly Brennan is here.
Thank you for
Good
being here.
afternoon. Kelly Brennan, Long Range Planning. Just going to give a brief overview of this item. This is the draft 2021 Unified Planning Work Program for the Rapid City Area MPO, the Metropolitan Planning Organization. This document includes the annual activities, planning studies, and products that we will develop in 2021. So in addition to our usual products like the traffic count book that you guys probably see every year, the socioeconomic report, the TIP, this year we are planning on completing the US 16 corridor intersection study. We are also planning to complete an update to the transit development plan. That was initially scheduled for 2020 but was pushed back a year. We will also plan to complete South Dakota 79 Campbell Street, the bridge structure, bike and ped study. We will also plan to complete an update to the Meade County Transportation Plan and also complete the I-90 exit 63 interchange study. In addition to those studies, we are also possibly going to update the aerial imagery for the entire MPO as well as building footprints. So those are just a few of the items that the MPO is planning on undertaking this year. So if you have any questions, otherwise we just want to keep you informed of what we're working on.
Do we have any questions? Okay, we have a motion to acknowledge by Mr. Solomon and a second by Mr. Lehman. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries. I lost my place. Okay, number 13, Behavior Management Systems CDBG Mental Health Update with speaker Terry Corrigan. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all for having me. Just wanted to stop in and kind of give a little update. Mr. Nordstrom had asked that we do that just to talk a little bit about that community development block grant funding that we receive each year. I'm sure most of you are aware, but our portion of those funds actually go to fund 2 positions, one full-time, one part-time. The primary goal is to assist people in applying for medication assistance from the pharmaceutical companies. So many of you probably know that in mental health, medications can go a long ways in helping people kind of find a recovery and do much better in their day-to-day functioning, creating stability, helping prevent things like losing jobs or their homes or different things like that. And so we're excited as of last year, just to kind of put into perspective, we assisted about 357 people over the entire year in applying for those applying for those medication assistances, and the total amount of medications that we were able to help people receive was over $2.5 million worth of medications. So, you know, it's a small amount we asked for to be able to have those staff help with that, and it's certainly not anything that we would be able to be reimbursed for, but I think the long range in the community is significant. So, so far this year, I have the numbers for April, May, and June. We've helped a total of 65 new people who've not been assisted before through this grant, and our total for those 3 months of the grant was about $763,000 $100,000 worth of medications that we're able to assist people in getting. So you can see a big, those medications are incredibly expensive, and even with insurance, if people have it, can be difficult for people to afford. So we certainly appreciate the support and being able to have the staff to do so. The other piece that I was just going to provide some updates on is just sort of our kind of view of how mental health is going as the Community Mental Health Center here in town. At the beginning of the pandemic, we certainly saw a lot of changes happening very quickly. We were able to transition the majority of our services onto telehealth. Now, we do offer a wide array of services for crisis services, kids and families, adults with serious mental illness, as well as many, many others. Some of those services are so intensive that we would not be able to transition them fully to telehealth. So we have remained completely open to provide support for crisis situations through our crisis care center at the CARE campus. We have seen pretty stable numbers, not a huge increase or decrease for crisis services there. Our kids and families, one of our unique partnerships is we work with Rapid City area schools to have counseling staff in 13 of the schools. What we saw as the pandemic kind of started and school closed down is a lot of kids and families saying, we'll catch up with you when this is all over. That really resulted in a sharp drop off in our kids and family services. Also, kids have been a little bit less tethered than they've been historically, and so we are going back into the schools for this school year, so we're very excited to kind of see what that looks like, and are hoping to be able to continue to support a lot of kids and families through that program. I would say just kind of overall what we're hearing is lots of just unrest, anxiety, fear. I think people are sort of waiting to see what the long-term effects of kind of how our society has changed so quickly. We have capacity and we're looking forward to being able to be a partner to our community members and anyone who may need it going forward. So just wanted to kind of update a little bit. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to visit about those further.
Thank you. Any questions? We have a motion to acknowledge by Mr. Lehman and a second by Mr. Solomon. Thank you, Mr. Nordstrom, for bringing this to our committee meeting. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. And Mr. Evans, go ahead.
Yeah, before we move on to the next thing, I want to make a correction. My comment was for number 9 in the community development. There's not a mistake in the document I've referred to. I had my wires crossed up here. Oh. So they need to make that correction in the community development number 9 that we approved, okay?
Great. Thank you for correcting that. Okay. Moving to Public Works, number 14, invitation to City Council members to tour the solid waste facility. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to thank you for your time. My name is Jeff Barber, Solid Waste Superintendent, and I would just personally want to invite all of you to think about taking a tour out at our solid waste facility. They go anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. I know some of the council members have already been out there. Lance is coming out tomorrow to see us, and just thanks again for your time.
Great, thank you. Do you want us to go collectively as a group or just schedule?
However you guys can find
able?
time, we'll make time.
Okay, great. Mr. Evans, did you want to comment on this? You had some good comments yesterday.
Well, I just want to reinforce what Mr. Barber said. I think the tour is critical, especially now that we're getting into time when we need to be thinking about our next phase of the solid waste facility. We're going to be making some very important votes after the first of the year. I think it's critical that the people voting know exactly what they're spending this money on and how they're setting the city up for the next 30, 40 years in terms of what our goals are in terms of sustainability, recycling, land use, everything. So it's very critical they have a solid knowledge base, and they do a great job of showing everybody around. So I think you'll be amazed to find out how truly wonderful our facility is. Even though much of it is so old, these guys are proud of what they do, and it really shows in what they do out there. So I think it's critical every single city council member takes a tour before they start voting. Thank you.
If I may, I took a tour about 3 years ago. I'd like to take another tour just to compare the differences from there. And I know that we have a really good solid waste facility. I've been told that people from other cities come here to look at what we do, and I'm pretty proud of that. It's definitely part of our infrastructure. So I appreciate the invitation.
We've got a lot of new changes going on out there, and we'd like to have you guys see them.
We appreciate the invitation, and I'm sure council members will be taking you up on this. Mr. Solomon, you're...
Thank you, ma'am. I've been able to tour several times, but Mr. Barber, I haven't had a chance to visit with you since I've been back on council, so I will look forward to, I'll connect with you offline here, and we'll schedule some time, and love to get a tour from your eyes. Thank you.
Be great. Thanks again for your time.
And do we do a motion to acknowledge here at this point, or? Okay, we have a motion to acknowledge by Mr. Lehman and a second by Mr. Evans. Okay, all in favor? Great. And before we adjourn, I'd like to take a point of personal privilege. I'd like to address the increasing numbers of COVID-19 in our state, and especially within our Black Hills area. I know we are oversaturated with the news and the dialogue about this pandemic, but unfortunately, COVID-19 is a very sad fact of our present-day life. We were told this was a marathon, not a sprint, and 6 months in, we're barely even warmed up. Understand, I'm not asking anyone to live in fear, hunker down, never leave their homes. Everyone needs to live their life and find their own personal balance. But we must do our part. It is our civic duty to be respectful and help our community. It's not my intention to be controversial, condescending, or divisive, but honestly, I feel like I'm watching a slow-moving train wreck unfold. I am very concerned, and if you aren't concerned, well, you're not really paying attention. The facts are, more and more people are getting ill. We, as a community, need to take this virus seriously and practice what the White House, the World Health Organization, the CDC, and even our state websites are encouraging. Wash your hands more, social distance, avoid large crowds, and yes, wear a mask or appropriate face covering. If a business requests or requires a mask, please do it. If not for the logical reason for the general public health and safety, please just do it out of common courtesy. Last week, we were made aware of 44 new cases at Monument Health. That was just their staff. We must protect our healthcare professionals. Our public schools are scheduled to open next week. We all need to do our part to help our students, our teachers, and all of our school employees. We need to practice these CDC guidelines and wear a mask for our first responders. Let's do it for our local Air Force Base. Let's do it for your pastor, our elders, our veterans, our neighbors, everyone that we care about. Do it for yourself. Let's do it for each other. When this council put restrictions in place last spring, we were told over and over and over again how responsible we are, how responsible our businesses are. They told us, we know what we need to do. I sit here asking each and every one of us to do the right thing. And understand, I'm not asking anyone to do anything that I am not willing to do myself. I am washing my hands more, I am practicing social distancing, and I wear a mask because I love this community and everyone in it. People are demanding mask mandates. You see other communities who have mask mandates in place, and they have significantly lower positivity levels. But there are people that don't want the government interfering and telling them what to do. So let's just skip the drama and the special meetings and the controversy and the bickering and name calls and fighting. The bottom line is the COVID numbers are going up, and we all need to step it up. Whether we realize it or not, we are living in a tumultuous and historic time. When we study history of major events and look back, one cannot help but wonder where we would have stood. Would you have helped the situation, or would you have hurt it? I ask you, what are you going to do? What side are you going to be on? I feel that we have an opportunity right here and right now to come together and show this area, this state, this country, and even the world how Rapid City can come together and do the right thing for each other and demonstrate how we all can do our part to reduce and eventually eliminate the presence of COVID-19 in our community. Thank you for listening, and thank you for considering my request. I'll welcome a motion to adjourn. We have a motion to adjourn by Mr. Lehman and a second by Mr. Evans. Thank you.